I can't remember the last time a blockbuster was this polarizing, but I can't remember the last time I told half the internet they were wrong. I do it like every day.
I wish you had more time.
Disclosure Day is the newest Spielberg movie. It stars Emily Blunt, Coleman Domingo, Josh O'Connor, and Colin Firth. Basically, the premise of this movie is Edward Snowden tries to tell us that aliens are real, and if Elon Musk had charisma, this is how he would try to stop it. To me, this movie is one of the better sci-fi movies to come out in recent years, and it's definitely one of the best blockbusters to come out and shoot. I don't know. But no movie is perfect, and this movie is stirring up a lot of controversy, a lot of discussion, a lot of strong feelings. So let's break it down. What's good and what's bad? I love the story. This is not an alien invasion action movie. Less War of the Worlds and Independence Day and more Arrival, and I guess The Day the Earth Stood Still. The argument that's being had in this movie is essentially whether or not Tommy Lee Jones was right in Men in Black.
Well, why the big secret? People are smart. They can handle it.
A person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it.
Like, one side asserts that the people of the world could not handle this information coming out, and the rebuttal to that is that that's just an excuse to maintain power and control, and by and large, people deserve to know universal truths, and for the most part, they can handle it. Josh O'Connor is playing an Edward Snowden-esque character who works for this company that the government is employing to safeguard all these secrets about aliens.
What did you steal?
Secrets. The data they paid me to protect.
He takes some proof of this and goes on the run with his girlfriend while the company, that's headed by Colin Firth's character, goes on the hunt for him. Coleman Domingo plays this character who's the head of a group that's kind of the opposing force of the company. They are trying to get the information out. Colin Firth's company is trying to suppress it, and it's a race to control the narrative. Don't listen to people who say this movie is anti-Christian or has an anti-Christian message or anything like that. The movie does deal with faith, and it has a character that questions their faith when faced with the realization that aliens are real. But the character goes through the exact process that most churches will tell you to go through when you're in doubt. They questioned, they searched inside themselves, they prayed, and then they went to the church and received counsel and peace and understanding. Characters go on a journey, and for the most part, you shouldn't judge a character by where they start. You should judge them by their arc and where they finish. Everything Spielberg does well, he does well in this movie. The shots, the set pieces, the cinematography, the music, everything is great. Everyone's going to talk about the car chase scene, and it was a well-made scene, but I'm actually going to talk about that in the bad portion of the video. But one of the technical high points of this movie was in the beginning with Emily Blunt. In the first act, we get this one take of Emily Blunt walking into the news studio, and she's walking, she's delivering her lines, and then she stops and speaks as fluent of Korean as my ears can detect, then gets up and walks some more, and then gives that clicking alien language that we hear in the trailer. This is all in one take, and as far as my eyes could tell, there weren't any like hidden cuts anywhere. This was just one extended take, and she did it, and that's amazing. I've heard people say that this movie is Emily Blunt's best performance of her career. I don't know if I'm willing to say that yet, but this is definitely a showcase for how good Emily Blunt is. And I think one of the problems with Disclosure Day is that Spielberg wanted you to answer the film's question, because he deliberately ended the story without showing the ramifications of the choices made, which isn't really typical for him. In movies like Jurassic Park, they tell you the message of the movie.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
And then they let that message play out in the movie. Disclosure Day has the conversation, but doesn't show you who wins the argument. Those kind of endings always rub people the wrong way, and the fact that there wasn't a big spaceship battle or people weren't getting sucked up into the sky, that also kind of ticks some people off too. But the idea that it's up to you and all of us to decide what the answer is, what are we going to do when we see the other being mistreated, put into cages, dehumanized, and what is our response going to be? That idea is not new in sci-fi and in storytelling. And I thought the way that he did it and executed it was well done and one of the best movies I've seen this year. Now, I need to see it again to really solidify that position, but this was a movie to me that was really well done. The movie's not perfect and there were things that I didn't care for too much. The car chase scene that a lot of people love was, to me, a great scene in a vacuum. Like the way the scene was executed, the blocking, the pace, the music, all that was good in that scene. If I saw that clip just put on the internet and I watched that clip by itself, I would love it and be excited. But for me, it did not fit in this movie. It felt like a scene for another movie. Because for the most part, to me, this movie is a sci-fi thriller slash drama. And then in the middle, we like switch it to an action movie real quick and then switch it back. It was almost as if we were trying to make sure you didn't fall asleep or didn't get bored. So we jingle some keys in front of you to to keep your attention, and then we go back to the story. And the other thing I didn't like was that the Coleman Domingo's character was a little too Morpheus coded for me. In the movie, he's very invested in getting Emily's character and Josh O'Connor's character to a specific point. But there were times where him and his group could have definitely intervened or intervened more directly, and they just didn't. And he was like, we got to trust the process and trust that everything will happen the way it needs to happen. And by the end of the film, it's alluded to or it's implied that he's had this oracle that he's been talking to this whole time. So maybe that gave him some insight of when to act and when not to act. But the way he's acting in the specific scenes is like, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen and figure it out. And it was like, these people are really important, but I'm leaving a lot up to chance. But I'm taking action in this way, but I'm not taking action in this way. And that was just it was a little frustrating to me. The destination was underwhelming to me. The first destination, because there's two. But during the film, the characters are trying to converge on this central location for this very specific reason. And we start to get hints throughout the movie of what it is, but it's not fully revealed to us what it is until we actually get there. When we got there, it was like all of this work was necessary for this. Like you had all these people, utilized all these resources, took all these risks to do something I feel like you could have accomplished if you had just hired a really good therapist.
Sink into the floor.
Wait.
Sink.
And I guess you could say that the stakes were so high that you want to give the best chance for success. So going a little overboard is warranted because we only get one shot. But it felt a little unnecessary to the plot and more necessary to the theme of the movie. Like reverting back to our childhood state and looking at it through the purity of child's eyes and that theme that is in a lot of Spielberg films. That was, to me, the forefront of that moment. But I hate when movies sacrifice the literal sense or the literal logistical framework of the movie for the sake of the message. Like the message should be there, but it shouldn't come at the expense of what the characters are actually trying to do. All in all, I completely understand why this movie is divisive, but for me and my taste, this was a great movie. I had a good time, and this is one of the best times I've had in a theater all year. But what did you think of Disclosure Day, and what side of the discourse do you fall on? Let's get to it down in the comments, and I'll catch you guys next time.